I'd like to speak with you a little bit today about using our strengths, and I'd like to talk to you a bit about resilience. This is a very interesting time for me to be talking with you today, because on Sunday it will be 2 years since my husband stepped down as Prime Minister, so I've been reflecting a little bit on the last 2 years and on resilience. I also want to share with you that I have very recently become a grandma, and a source of toe-curling joy for me. And I hope that my grandchild, and if I have more than one, grandchildren, speak of me as highly as you speak of your grandma. So I thought I'd start by telling you a bit about my story. I was born in Adelaide. I was a very, very, very shy child. My mum and dad had lived in Adelaide for a little while. My dad, whose story I'll tell you, was an inspiration to me, as was my mum. My dad's story is he was someone who knew what his field of fascination was from the time that he was very young. He was fascinated by flight. He went to an air show at about the age of 8 in Sydney, and they were offering joyrides, and he had saved up all of his pocket money, and he went on a biplane for a joyride. I think he got in really big trouble when he got home because he'd been up in a plane without asking his parents' permission. But from then on, he loved planes. So he went to work in an aircraft factory, and when the Second World War came along, the very natural thing for him to do was to sign up and become a navigator in the RAAF. And he got to fly in Canada, in Britain, fly down to the Middle East, and then across to India. And he loved to fly. I remember actually as a young girl when the Concorde was wheeled out of the hangar for the first time, the first supersonic and last supersonic passenger plane was wheeled out of the hangar, and he said, look at that beautiful droop nose. He loved planes. So he was flying in India. His job was to with a pilot, go to the little tiny dirt airstrips all around India where planes that had been damaged as they were flying would land, and they would get patched together with sticky tape and string, basically. And he and the pilot would take them back to the main airbase to be fully repaired. And one day, his plane took off and crashed. And as a result of that, he experienced a severe spinal injury, which eventually meant that he became a paraplegic. So he had by the time I really got to know him, he had no movement or feeling but below, kind of up here in his back. He was in a wheelchair. He could use his arms fully, but he couldn't walk. He was taken back to Australia, back to Sydney, back here to the Concorde Hospital, and he spent the first 6 months post-injury, I guess, stabilising the injury and learning how to get out of bed, how to shower, how to dress, how to look after himself. And basically they said to him, look, John, your life expectancy is probably 25. You'll probably be 25 by the time you die. And he was a young man. So he looked around him in the ward, in the spinal unit, and he saw a lot of blokes who were drinking, smoking, playing cards, and thinking that their life was over. And he didn't want to think that his life was over. He knew he loved planes, and he decided that what he wanted to do was he wanted to go to university, and he wanted to study to be an aeronautical engineer. what they said to him was, well, you can't, John. You're handicapped, mate. Very helpful, as if you hadn't noticed. You won't be able to get to the university. You won't be able to get up and down the stairs of the lecture theatre. They're not going to admit someone in a wheelchair to the university. And besides, what's the point? You're going to be dead by the time you're 25. It's pretty focusing. It's pretty focusing. So there were a lot of people there who said, you can't. There was one person there who said, I think you can, and that was my mum. There was another person there who said, let's have a go, and that was his sister, Dad's sister. And another person who believed in him as well, and that was his brother. Anyway, Dad applied to the university, and I don't think he told them that he was in a wheelchair, actually, and they admitted him. He went to the engineering department of the hospital and worked with them to adapt a car with a hand control. We all know now that paraplegics can drive cars using hand controls, but they didn't know that then. He then wrote to all the blokes, and they were all blokes, who lived close by to where he was going to be living, who were going to be doing the same course as him, and he offered them a lift to university and back via the pub if they liked, if they would carry him up and down the stairs of the lecture theatres. When he graduated from university as an aeronautical engineer, he was given a standing ovation. That was over at the Sydney Town Hall. People didn't think it was possible for a paraplegic to go to university and get a degree. He then wanted to work. He wanted to work as an aeronautical engineer. Why? Because we know work matters to people. We know that when you are learning and being challenged, when you are making a contribution, when you have a routine, when you're connected to other people, and particularly if you're working in your field of fascination, then life can become very meaningful. It is also a means of earning money, and it was part of being independent and a normal citizen for my dad. He got knockback after knockback. And all through that, my mum was there encouraging him, urging him, challenging him not to give up. And eventually someone gave him an opportunity, a work trial opportunity, 3 mornings in Adelaide. So he drove from here in Sydney with Mum over to Adelaide for this work trial. Not very certain. Not quite the same as going out on the open seas, but I think it felt a bit like that. I think my dad's signature strength was courage, bravery, valour. So he went with Mum, and he turned up every day, not just 3 mornings, and he worked all day, every day. And at the end of the week, the guy who'd given him the go said, well, John, mate, you've got the job. All the other aeronautical engineers are also sitting down. He kept being told all his life that he only had 5 more years to live, and I think that made Mum and he seize every day and make the most of it. He became a Paralympian. He carried the flag for Australia at the first Paralympics. He was an archer, and he won gold for Australia. He played wheelchair basketball. He swam. He coached the swimming team. He was part of the foundation of wheelchair sports in South Australia. So when my dad said to me, don't give up, I didn't dare give up. And when my dad said to me, I think you can, and I believe in you, I believe you can do this if you put your mind to it, I didn't want to disappoint him, ever. I think what I learned from Dad was a number of things. Firstly, I learned the importance of work for people, and that's what we do. It's what our company and our life, our mission is to help people with disabilities who are long-term unemployed, people who have lost confidence, to regain their confidence, and to find their place in the world of work. We help them find their field of fascination, the thing that they do where time just passes and they haven't even noticed it going. And we help them build on their strengths. I learnt the importance of work. I learnt the importance of perseverance and determination and application. And I learnt the importance of people in my life. In your handbook, we've put a link to a really fabulous site, which is called AuthenticHappiness.com, where you can go and find what your signature strengths are. What I learned about my signature strengths are that they are about learning. I love learning. I'm a slightly original thinker, which sometimes might look like being slightly crazy, and I appreciate beauty and excellence. And what I learned as I went into the First Lady role, though we don't have that title, but you know what I'm talking about, shorthand. I've got 6 minutes and 54 seconds to talk. What I learned was that I needed to use my signature strengths in strange and different situations, whether it was meeting the First Lady of the United States, or going out and meeting people and learning. So I learned to use my love of learning. I learned that when I went into a situation, my signature strength of loving to learn, loving to find out what was happening, was something that I just did naturally, and that just helped me through situations. I learned that I loved to give, and I loved to serve. And that I loved to use my signature strengths in the service of something bigger than I am, that I believe in. I've been doing that with the work that we do at NGS and now at Ashore programs. I've been doing that for 24 years, where we help people, we believe in people, we meet them, we look for their individuality, we respect them, we believe in their potential, we help them find their field of fascination and build on their strengths and work out what they care about that's bigger than they are, that they can contribute to. And we help them go from being long-term unemployed because of disability, long-term unemployed because of substance dependence, long-term unemployed because their local economy is depressed, long-term unemployed because they are depressed. We help them regain their confidence and find their way. I love that work. It's my life's work. I wanted to reflect a bit on resilience as well. Almost 2 years ago, I was standing next to Kevin as he resigned as Prime Minister, and I was standing there, and it was a difficult day. It was a difficult day. And I have reflected on what has contributed to resilience and coming through that. One thing I've learned is the absolute importance of the people you love in your life, and for us, the importance of our family. I've learned that, and I guess been refreshed in the kindness of friends and the encouragement of friends, and also the kindness and gentleness, the loving kindness of strangers, of people I've never met before, coming up and saying thank you. Those acts of kindness really help when you're going through something that's a bit challenging and difficult. I've learned there are some things that cannot be taken away, that our values and who we are, if we hold true to them, they are not taken away by external circumstances. So for us, our integrity and our commitment to fairness and justice and compassion, none of that gets taken away by what's happening around us. I've learned to be in the here and now, to savour the blue sky, the wind on my face, the taste of a great cup of coffee, the joy of holding my grandchild in my arms. And I've learnt not to get ahead of myself, and to focus on using my strengths in the service of something bigger than I am, that I believe in, that I think matters. So I reflected on what I would be wanting to say to my granddaughter as well, and I thought I'd share that with you as we finish. I want to tell her stories. I want to tell her about her great-great-great-grandma, who at the age of 12 arrived in Geelong and traversed the country from south up through the Burdekin giving birth under a bullocky dray 5 times. That was for shelter and shade, and who ended up in the far, far north of this country. I want to tell her the story of her great-grandfather, my dad. I want to tell her the story of her great-grandmother, my mum, who urged and challenged and encouraged and supported and believed in. I want to tell her of her own strengths. I want to sing her the song of her own strengths, tell her her own story. I want to encourage her to burn the stick of perfectionism with which we often beat ourselves. I want to urge her to be just her, not anyone else, to be her unique, beautiful, individual self. I want to be out loud grateful with her, to celebrate our freedom, our opportunity and love. I want to help her find her fields of fascination. I want to help her have a go at finding those and say, actually, no, I don't quite like that. That's not quite me. Actually, yes, I really like this. I want to help her savour being in the world. I want to encourage her to get up and try again and have another go and have another go. I want to let her know that she has my love forever. I want to help her find her signature strengths and what she believes in, that it's bigger than her, so that she can give to others and be kind to others. And I want to let her know that she can do anything at all, if she puts her mind to it, just as you can. Thank you.